You barely see asexual people as it is, let alone a black asexual person. I'm a model and asexuality activist, and I am a aromantic asexual. There was never really a time where I didn't think that I was asexual, because I noticed when I was about like 8 and I was in primary school, like everyone's hormones seemed to kick in, and all of a sudden like the boys and girls didn't just want to play together, they were going out with each other and they fancied each other, and I was like, all right, what's this? Because I mean the default is straight, so I was thinking, well, so when people would ask me, I'd be like, oh, I guess I'm straight, but I don't like boys. And then they were like, well, then you're probably not straight. I was like, do you like girls? And I was like, no. I was like, I don't really like anybody. And they were like, well, maybe you're like asexual or something. And I was like, all right, that sounds good. So I Googled that and I was like, yeah, it sounds about right. So when I was about 14, I just started using that word. I find that most of the time, like in my personal life, people just kind of reinterpret it their own way. So I'll say, hey, I'm asexual, and they'll be like, oh, okay, so you're well behaved. And they'll just like switch it. I'm like, I'm asexual, and they're like, oh, well, you'll find the right person, don't worry. And I'm like, that's not what I said. Yeah, it has nothing to do with being prude. It has nothing to do with being insecure and unsocial and introverted. It's nothing to do with how you look. That's something I get a lot. People are like, oh, but you're good looking, you don't need to be asexual, which usually tells me that people think that A, there's an asexual look and that it isn't a good one, and 2, that asexuality is a choice that people take when they can't get dates or that they can't get laid, which is also really strange. One of the benefits of being asexual is definitely that you don't have to worry about like if you're aromantic, you really don't worry about relationship stuff, and I know some asexual people do worry about that, but I don't have that problem. I think that representation is definitely very important, because I think the LGBTQIA+ community in general is pretty whitewashed in its representation, and that not only is that kind of like ironic for the community that's supposed to be so inclusive and diverse if it doesn't look like that, and then it's also counterproductive for minorities that are part of it, because it's kind of seen as being a white thing, which definitely doesn't help when you are trying to come out and people don't take it seriously in your community because it's seen as being like this white kid thing. Even in the LGBTQIA community, I find that people tend to cut out the A or think that the A stands for allies. I notice that a lot of the time in organizations or in like the media, people only care about the LGBT part, and even though they put the plus, they don't actually acknowledge the plus. But last time I checked, the community is about, you know, people who aren't heteronormative and they don't fit that, and it's supposed to be inclusive of that. So I think that LGBTQIA+ platforms should do a better job at acknowledging what's in the plus and not just the LGB and the T.